you describe the type of work you did while you were at NASA?
Well, the project I was involved with was part of ERAS, which is the Environmental Research and Sensors Technology. The program was to provide a platform, a remote piloted vehicle platform at 80,000 feet to carry atmospheric instruments.
So by the nature of that work, you were working with various measurements, readings that are involved with the atmospheric conditions at those altitudes, correct?
Well, the primary purpose of me being there was that they needed vehicles to get to 80,000 feet, and that was primarily the reason that I was employed, was to, help them get those vehicles up to 80,000 feet. Our particular project reached 65,000 feet, and they considered that a world record at the time. One of the Helios participants reached 80,000 feet and above, but we had a payload capacity of 200 pounds on our aircraft, and it was a remote piloted vehicle that would carry, say, payloads from Harvard or Cornell or MIT, atmospheric gathering instruments up to altitude to measure particulates and radiation levels. The aircraft was designed with an extremely low bow wave, which means it doesn't put the undue pressure on the air in front of it so that it can sense undisturbed air as closely as possible.
That makes sense. And how many years, Ray, did you work at NASA?
I was there for 2 years.
And in the field in general, how many years?
Well, I've been an avionics engineer now for about 45 years.
Now, what woke you up to the geoengineering issue, Ray? When did you first become aware of geoengineering?
It started slow, Dane. When I first was employed there at NASA, I really didn't have a clue about what was going on with the ozone layer. I didn't understand what they wanted to do at altitude with the atmospheric instruments. And it was a slow process with me because I was just trying to get them a platform that operated correctly through the adverse environmental conditions because, the temperatures drop to minus 45, minus 50 degrees centigrade when you're up at those altitudes. And just trying to get an avionics platform operational is pretty tough. But
in the course of that work that you were doing, though, at what point and do you remember what event or news that you might have seen that woke you up to the geoengineering issue?
Well, there were two pieces. And I had friends at JPL, and I was keeping track of what they were doing. And there was a blurb in the paper about how they had resolved the 8th bit on a particular group of satellite data, but they could not figure out what was going on with it. They finally resolved this 8th bit into the upper ozone layer. And then I started asking questions about why were they interested in this, what was going on with it. And some of the scientists near me while I was at NASA, I approached them and asked them, what's the problem? And they said basically it was the chloromethane molecule they were most concerned with. And that is what really started my whole interest in the upper ozone layer. I wanted to know why the tie-in was the chloromethane molecule.
Now, in the course of how you and I connected, when I was giving information to the local ABC station here in Northern California, KRCR, to the news anchor at that station, and in the course of that dialogue and that station in Northern California, the mainstream media station, and them patently denying any geoengineering data they were given, everything, and you jumped into that conversation courageously with your background to make clear that the data that geoengineeringwatch.org was giving to this mainstream media station was in fact correct. And they didn't want to communicate anymore after that. Do you remember that?
I remember it very well, Dane. I still have the emails that I sent to Mike Mangus, and I was very disappointed over that whole affair.
And this is what we have from mainstream media, isn't it? Their job is to cover up the threats, to hide them from the populations as long as possible. That's the job they've been tasked with. They're all too happy to do it. And let's continue on with our conversation, but let's also hope that one day soon, when the population understands this is an existential threat, climate engineering itself is an existential threat for countless reasons, not just the ozone destruction, but when the population wakes up, that they will hold legally and morally accountable all those who are accomplices in the crimes of the climate engineering cover-up, like Mike Mangus.